I haven't really. Oh, I've been played some Destiny too, but that's about it.
Okay,
Might
that's good.
mention that. Yeah. Let's see. Have I? What do I not have? Close tabs to the right. All right. So we are live. Let me make sure I've got the tabs. Following the news. Let's see. Game list. Microsoft. Cool. Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Twitch. There we go. Twitch is open. Oh, that Bullet Train movie.
Oh, do you see it?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm just seeing ads for it. I completely forgot.
Oh.
The only thing I've seen from it is apparently Brad Pitt wore a skirt to a premiere. That's all that people have been saying about it.
Okay, that's. I don't know. That movie looks kind of neat. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
It's like John Wick on a
I'm
train.
kind of sick of
I
the
think,
John
right?
Wick guys. I think generally, but it's also
Chad
just because, like,
Stahelski or something.
yeah, because he's made a couple other movies now. I don't know. I like Brad Pitt a lot, like more than most actors in a general sense. Like, he's someone who, like, him playing that kind of vibe in that movie is like enough to get me interested every time I think about it.
Do we want to talk about the Marvel trailers that dropped? Oh, the Star Wars Andor trailer. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
didn't
we'll
realize
talk
how
about
long
that.
it was. Like how long the show is. It's like 12 or 13 episodes or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like, oh, that's weird to invest in
Star Wars
Andor. Like, it
Andor.
looks good, but it's like,
Yeah. Oh, is it just called Andor? That's right, it is. Sweet. Yeah, maybe that's going to be in the show.
yeah, good.
There we
Yeah.
go. Cool. Trailer. Sweet. And Black Panther. But yeah, let's focus on this. This is the one for this week.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's kick off with some music.
You are now listening to Doublejump Radio.
G'day everyone and welcome to Doublejump Radio episode 63. I'm your host Abir and I'm joined once again by my co-host John. John, how are you, my friend?
Pretty good. Like a weather update for Perth, as is usual with me. It's like a lot of storms. It's kind of like, I work outside, so it hits me a lot.
Yeah.
But it's, otherwise it's pretty chill. Been holding out for the episode this week.
Yeah.
And, yeah. How about you?
No, I've been well. Just playing a little bit of Destiny where I can with the remote play kind of things on the iPad. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But
Right.
yeah, how about we kick into the news for this week? John, we had some interesting announcements from the world of Pokemon.
Yeah. Do we need the little news report thing?
Yes, we do. Reporting
Yes.
from the field, Mr. John Reeves.
Yeah, I've got my mic, standing in the rain, raincoat, etc. First off, new Pokemon trailer dropped yesterday, or direct, or something. Oh, I think Pokemon Presents is the official
Yes.
name for it. So it covered more than just Scarlet and Violet, even though I don't really care too much about anything else right now, because it's been several months since last time we saw Scarlet and Violet. But we'll run through the rest of it a little bit. First, it opened with the 2022 Pokemon World Championships update. Among the news that I didn't really listen to closely, the major news is one, Pokemon Go and Pokemon Unite, the MOBA that launched a year ago. They're being included in the championships this year for the first time ever. And Pokemon, and for the championship, I think we got a glimpse of the trophy,
Yeah.
glimpse of like plush toy you can get if you attend, or just like if you buy it during this time period. I'm not actually sure. And yeah, otherwise not too much there for people who are as interested in it as I am, which is not a huge amount. Pokemon Unite is getting a first anniversary update as part of, and like, which kind of extends to a few things, and I think it's not over. Like there'll be more to follow up with based on this. So first, there's an only Pikachu quick play mode called Pick a Party, where literally every enemy NPC in the mode is Pikachu, including like the bosses, which are like Gigantamax Pikachu, which I think is really cool. I like the look of it a lot.
Yeah.
And then the Ultra Beast, which is basically like a extra dimensional Pokemon for people who don't play it. One of them called Buzzwole
Gotcha.
is being included as a playable Pokemon in Unite, like, outside of just temporary modes and such. And and apparently there will be follow-up additions after
Gotcha.
last couple of days.
Yeah.
And lastly, for this little roundup of non-Scarlet Violet stuff, is Mewtwo being added to Pokemon Cafe Remix, which is their sort of like puzzle game. I forget what it's kind of based on, because I always think of Yokai Watch, because that game had like one like that, where it's like the bubble popper.
Is it
but
Bubble? Is it Bubble Bubble?
I don't know.
There's a classic game called Bubble Bubble. I'm not sure if that's. It's like where you shoot where you kind of got a little cannon at the bottom and you're shooting to like kind of match colors.
I think it's
Puzzle
more
Bubble?
like you're
Bubble
kind of dragging. I actually don't remember, because I played a lot of that Yokai Watch. Anyway, Disney's got their own
Puzzle
version with
Bubble.
like Tum Tum, I think. I think that's another big one. It doesn't matter. It's been out for a
Okay.
little while. Oh, sorry.
Gotcha.
You can't anymore.
I was thinking about Temtem. No, that's different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. That was like some. Yeah. Never mind. But this
my fault
MOBA
for,
looked
like-
kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, I really liked it when I played it. I think it's
Yeah.
just like kind of dropped off because I just don't tend to keep with multiplayer stuff very long.
Yeah.
But I liked Unite from what I played of it when it launched. But yeah, anyway, that kind of rounds up the non-important news. So after all that, there was a new trailer for Pokemon Scarlet Violet launching at the end of the year. So it kind of lots of new details. There's also been like a number of leaks happening over the last couple months or so that I haven't been keeping track of, but I'm aware of several details in it. So this, as far as I could tell, only illuminated a little bit of it from what's been sort of leaked so far.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good, but it's not. It was kind of a little disappointing as someone who knows a little bit more about what the game's supposedly including. Anyway, so first off, the region for this gen, the Spain-inspired one, is called Paldea. I believe this wasn't revealed originally. Pretty sure this is the first time we're hearing about this.
Yeah.
Poke centers will be sort of, well, they're labeled as outdoor poke centers, which I think means just they're scattered across this like open world setting that Game Freak are trying for the first time in a proper way. Pokemon centers light up at night. Each of them has this Pokeball sign on the roof, which is normal. But I think the idea is that they're trying to make it emphasize that they're kind of like highlighted in the world in the same way stuff in like Breath of the Wild or other things, similar, like using kind of or Elden Ring, actually. I think that did it as well.
Yeah. like the fast travel spots. I don't know. I think they're not called bonfires. I think they're called something else, right? In Elden Ring, but
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called in that.
yeah,
But yeah. Anyway, a big piece of news was that the story mode, or whatever you'd kind of call it in a Pokemon game, like the essential path, I guess, the
Yeah.
golden path, it will be non-linear this time, which is, I believe, a first for the series, which means that there will be three
yeah.
paths to follow. Not sure what this will mean in a Pokemon game exactly, but so far the first path, the only one that's been revealed, is the traditional kind of path through a Pokemon game, as you'll be aware of, which is like challenging gyms, like heading for to become champion. That's another thing, is that gyms can be challenged in any order this time as well, which is also very new.
That's pretty
So
cool.
it's very, yeah, so it's very free form.
Yeah.
And that's also just, you don't have, seemingly you don't have to do that path right away either. Like it seems like you can, there's at least there's three paths. They haven't said any other ones. The first one is just the normal way of playing a Pokemon game. So yeah, it's exciting to see what, like, they seem to really be approaching it with non-linearity and like freeform, like, gameplay,
Yeah.
like the center point, which is like, feels weird for Game Freak, I think. They're very rigid.
It's not a
typically.
hallmark of the developer.
Yes, that's a good way to say it. I think we already knew it, but there's been a school setting is confirmed. So this is, as a player, you either be attending Naranja Academy or Uva Academy, depending on which version you get. The game story will seemingly focus around a special independent study project called the Treasure Hunt. I like the idea of a game being focused around a special independent study project. That sounds fun. Yeah, so I can't like, from the way it was described, I can't really tell if it's meant to be one of the story paths or if it's just an overarching theme for the entire game. I'm guessing it's the latter, personally, but I can't really be sure. The new mechanic, a new like kind of power up mechanic has been revealed. Like pretty much every game for the last like 4 gens have been getting them.
Yeah.
This one is called Terrastalization, or just Terra, basically, for like a bunch of buzzwords that fall under it. So this is, so similar to Mega Evolutions or Gigantamax or Z moves or et cetera. That seems to be this game's one. So this basically involves turning a Pokemon kind of crystal-like to kind of give them a power-up, and this power-up will change the Pokemon. Well, yeah, it'll change the Pokemon's typing to something different, or just to amplify the one they already have. So for people who don't play them, a new change in type means a new stab move. A stab move is basically if you're using an attack that is the same type as the Pokemon's type. So if you're using an electric move as an electric Pokemon, it will have a bonus effect, like 20% damage or something like that.
It's kind of like a way to like kind of modifiers for moves using the elements.
And if you change type as well, you're gonna get new weaknesses and strengths or defenses depending on what you have. So change to rock, it'll be completely different, etc. So overall, it just seems to be very much a boost in typing as well as a changing. So it's like, I think there seems to be a lot more focus on there's a lot more excitement in like competitive scene in that respect. I'm not sure excitement, but it's like it seems more suited to the competitive scene, as in like being able to like have a one-time trump card, changing your typing depending on the situation.
I wonder if that's kind of maybe to give these games a bit more of a longer life in terms of playability. Maybe the Switch Online, although it's severely lacking, it is there. So maybe there could be potential for maybe like a PvP or a PvP element to kind of be the thing that keeps people coming back for multiple years. Yeah,
sure. It's like, because I have a friend who plays competitive Pokemon on Sword and Shield, like Bill, they've done that the last few gens. So I don't think that's abnormal, but I do think there would be a sense in pushing it harder.
Yeah. Especially, I Especially if they're already making strides to having with a Pokemon Go and Pokemon Unite in the championships, perhaps there's some learnings there that'll be adapted to this. And I don't know, will this be like the first mainline game that has like a live service element to it?
Yeah, maybe. It
Mm.
makes sense considering
Yeah.
how this game just seems to be so much more ambitious in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But also I did want to mention quick, it's kind of wild to me that Pokemon Go is at the championships because it mentions having 100 people in it, and I play that game. I don't play PvP just because I generally don't anyway. But I have played PvP before, and it is like messy and not all that
Yeah.
fun. So I'm surprised anyone does it because it's very much just tapping and trying to like. I understand that there's timing that goes
Yeah.
into it, and there is tactics, but it's hard to imagine being able to get much like real
Like how deep
competition
is it?
out of it. Yeah, I actually kind of want to watch it just to see how that actually goes. But
No, fair
anyway,
enough.
getting back to the news, yeah, just to wrap up this Terra gimmick that's being added to the game. I use gimmick isn't. I use gimmick more generally. That
Yeah,
isn't meant to
like a
be
wrestling type thing, like a
well, it's like I think it's like as a word, it's like it is more generic.
yeah.
It just needs to be more mean in games.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
become a pejorative now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, for this, Terra types can be like each Pokemon has a Terra type. Certain Pokemon seemingly can have different Terra types. I'm not sure if this is meant to apply to just certain Pokemon or just to every Pokemon.
Mm.
I don't know. So the example they use is Eevee, which is normal usually, can have
Mhm.
normal or flying Terra type. So this, yeah, so it's kind of unclear whether this is kind of similar to Nature's. So Nature's is like being lax or bold or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's like a personality trait.
Yeah, as far as I remember, those are like entirely random. Like you can't control those at all. I don't think
Gotcha.
so. But they have like small effects on stats and so on and so forth. I'm not sure if it's going to be like that, where it's like you just catch a random Pikachu and it might have flying or it might have rock or something like that. Like I like
That's
that
such
idea.
I'm just trying to picture like a Pikachu flying. Like,
Well, it's like
does it
yeah,
use
that's
its
actually
tail like a helicopter, maybe?
yeah. I'll just mention it now. Actually, it's because like if you pre-purchase the game, you get oh not pre-purchase. I think if you just buy it early, because I think it goes away in February. You can get a Pikachu that knows fly and also has the flying Terra type. So that's that's an
Wow,
old
that
Pokemon
is a
thing, as far as I know. Like that's not a new
yeah.
thing.
I mean, I remember like you were always able to kind of teach like different moves that weren't necessarily the first choice for different Pokemon, but like sometimes I remember like okay, well, I can't get to a Pokemon Center. I've got no other Pokemon that can use this skill, so I guess I'm just gonna use this.
Yeah.
So this is just like that, but now a system.
Yeah, it's
It's like canon
something
now.
like that. Yeah. Okay, so next up is Terra raid battles. So raid battles, 4-player raid battles, where 4 players versus a single like Pokemon
Mm.
boss. They're already a thing in Sword and Shield, and this in Scarlet and Violet, they're called Terra raids. They're kind of different as in that you can attack without waiting for other trainers or other players to take their turns. So it's less turn-based sort of, or it's like parallel. And it kind of moves a lot faster. There are sort of these separate power-ups called cheers you can use during these battles. So they'll benefit all the Pokemon in the 4-player party. So this means you can boost their attack and special attack, boost defense and special defense, and heal them. And you apparently, from what's been described so far, you can use these instead of an attack. So it's kind of there is a tactics element. It's just a little more chaotic, it seems, a little less. Yeah, like being, what's the word? It's not so I guess like heavy on individual moves, like it's not like you don't have to be like so precious about what you do. Maybe not. I imagine these raids aren't terribly hard in the first place if it's Pokemon, but I don't know. That isn't meant to be a thing. I'm just saying it's like they tend to design things with a slightly easier approach. But
Yeah, gotcha. Because it's like the cheers sound like what you'd normally think of as like if in it like a RPG you'd have like a potion or a spell instead of an
Mm.
attack. You'd do that to kind of like um. Oh my god, there actually is a term for it. Now I'm just like blanking on it. Like a status effect. I don't know how to
oh yeah, I see what you mean.
a buff. Yes, I'm thinking of the word buff. How did I
Right.
forget? Oh my god, man. It's
So bad at this.
I'm in my 30s. I'm an old gamer now.
You should know that better than anyone. But
But I'm forgetful.
just kind of to bring it back to Pokemon Go, because I've played. I know I've actually been playing less of it. It just seems to be my main like reference for Pokemon nowadays. It does sound similar to Pokemon Go raids, which are like not very interesting, honestly. They're not, because it's not a turn-based game, that one.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
No, it's because it's like a mobile game, and the whole point
It's like
is to have a
real
lot of
time
people just so
tapping.
everyone's just tapping and
Yeah.
using super moves when they happen, and so on and so forth. There's a bit of tactics to
From
it, but there isn't.
from the impression that I always get when I hear about what it's like, it's just like you're just kind of tapping to be the first one to get the move out sometimes.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like you can dodge a bit, and anyway, it's like a very real time
Rather
setup.
than
There's very little turn-based elements to it. There is a little bit, but not much.
yeah.
And I was like, this is kind of like, with the way this is described, it reminds me of that a bit. Where I'm sure it'll be better than the way Pokemon Go works, just because Pokemon Go is like it's a very certain type style.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I actually don't mind the idea of it being so fast-paced. That's like, I feel like if I imagined a 4-player raid originally, that sounds intimidating to me.
Yeah.
You're being like highlighted as like, oh, your turn better matter. It's like this one, it feels a little less like that.
I get you. I'm sorry. I'm just distracted by like the COO that the chief creative officer, whoever hit they had on screen. He's like incredibly handsome, and it's like distracting because he's very different to what a typical game dev looks like. Like he's very. I don't know how to put it.
Yeah.
It looks like someone out of a music video. I think that's how I'd describe him.
As part of the new trailer, a few mutant Pokemon were revealed. Not many, actually. Only 3, as far as I'm aware. So first was Fidough. It's like a fairy type puppy Pokemon that looks a lot like a cake. It's kind of like you see 3 of them like sleeping on a counter top or something.
Yeah. I just had
I think
it.
that's what it is. There's Paldean Wooper, who's the first regional for Scarlet and Violet. So I'm not sure, like it's kind of mud based instead of the water based Wooper of the previous games. And I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They probably said it in the trailer, and I did not remember. But Ketitan, not sure.
Yeah, or Cell Titan maybe. Do you think?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Could be that. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like an ice type ball of ice sort of looking thing. Not actually sure how to describe it.
Oh no, Titan. Okay. It's like Ice Titan, but with that eye.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, Quaxley just looks amazing. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the hair
beautiful.
or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see it. Like, I was really looking forward to like the evolutions of the starters, or like just the next one. Like the middle evolution. Didn't get it. Like, there was only 3 new designs we've seen from that trailer, which is kind of disappointing. Is like that being like the main draw for me, is like seeing a new trailer personally.
Yeah. Did they show off the legendaries before?
Yeah, but like we saw the covers already.
Yeah, because like yeah. Are you going to talk about it now? Because we have to talk about how one of them's a motorcycle.
Yes. Yeah. So as this trailer did reveal the kind of part they play in the game, seemingly, which is kind of as your main companions, probably very early in the game,
and like a mount as well.
Yeah, seems to operate very similarly to the mounts in Arceus, Pokemon Legends Arceus from last year.
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, it was this year, wasn't it? Because they already.
Oh, was it? Oh wow.
I don't remember now.
I think it might have been early this year, if not late last year.
Right, because it came out in January, but I can't remember if it was this
Yeah.
year or last year. It doesn't matter. It's gonna be
Let me
seemingly
find that out.
kind of riffing on the mounts of Arceus. So in the Arceus, you had um, whatever that
This
reindeer's
year.
name is called.
Yeah,
Was
it came out
Yeah,
this year.
okay.
Yeah, 28th Jan this year. Wow.
Yes, but you had like
Whoops.
you had a deer mount that's for land. You had like Basculesian for water, and you had oh, it's in my head somewhere. But you basically had like a bird for like gliding, similar to
Mm.
like Breath of the Wild or something, except you could
Mm.
basically just fly forever with it. This one
Yeah.
seems the legendary Pokemon, like the cover Pokemon, Koraidon and Miraidon. Yeah, so they can transform depending on what you need them for. That seems to be your main way of getting around the world. I think in the press, like kind of like the press release copy, it mentions that you need to kind of unlock them.
Mm.
So that's probably very similar to Arceus as well. It's just kind of a progression path as you make your way through the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, seems to be the same overall gist as Arceus, basically, which is exciting to me actually. Like especially in a big open world, because Arceus had like big open levels,
Yeah.
and like the idea of doing the same thing across something unified is it's exciting to me.
Yeah. And that's the thing, uh, like the maps shown in this don't look as bad or as
Uh,
Arceus from what I mean. Like,
yeah, no, I
yeah.
agree. It's like
I
it
think
did.
yeah,
It's like it looks better, but it's also like it's
maybe
so
smaller.
blurry.
Yeah,
Like
it's yeah. It
like that's the word I kept thinking of.
mm,
Where it's like, man, this feels like it feels like a 3DS game or something.
yeah,
It's like
it's like it's the the Nintendo Switch is definitely showing its age. Let's be honest here.
yeah,
Like, you know.
it's like it's a shame because like I always like the art direction for Pokemon games. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what Game Freak do with it, but it's very yeah, they
yeah.
don't seem to be able to squeeze as much out of the game as
Mm.
of the console as Monolith Soft or something. Like they
Yeah,
do a lot of
exactly.
work
And
technically.
Monolith, the developers of Xenoblade, right? Xenoblade
Yeah,
Chronicles.
yeah,
Yep. Um, who knows? Like, I'm yeah, because it's also that, and also because it's so low resolution that like you get a lot of jaggy edges and stuff, and it looks
yeah.
very
It's not a lot.
unclean.
It's not a lot of aliasing either, as well as the low res. So it's just a
Yeah,
bad combo technically, despite the art being quite nice. 'Cause
yeah,
I
yeah.
saw someone take a screenshot of like when they said like lush greenlands, and it's like just kind of empty geometry with a few trees. And it's just like,
Trees.
oh, that's mean.
uh, yeah. I think I had. Yeah, it's. Listen, it's. I don't know. Mm, it's a tricky situation that the Pokemon company's in because it can't it can only work with what it's given. Let's be honest. And yeah, I mean, I think something's got to give. You know, when you've got a certain amount of power and you want to make larger scale maps, you can't do as much detail. You know.
Well, it's got more detail than Arceus has though. Like it's
Yeah,
impressive what it's been able to do,
yeah.
considering it's like
But I would hope so, given
yeah,
it's
I know.
been
It hasn't been that long. It's like how old was Arceus? Like 7 months.
yeah. But who knows how? But yeah, who knows how long this has been in development? Because like
I know,
yeah,
but it's like I'm
and
surprised how much of a
resources.
difference there seems to be
Yeah,
technically,
yeah.
even though it's still not that impressive.
Listen, there when Arceus had 3 trees, this has 5. This is a dramatic improvement. Um, it's it's still a blurry mess, but not as bad.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to feel mean now, and also
Okay,
just
yeah.
kind of ignorant of what really goes into
you know
stuff.
what? It's it's still a great effort for what the system is, and that's the thing. Like we have to remember that it's running on basically a mobile processor. Like that's what the Nintendo Switch is basically an Nvidia mobile processor from 2015 that it's running on. So if you take that into consideration, it's doing a very good job.
It does feel like a game that would probably feel and look a lot better in your hands. Like there's
Yeah,
a lot of games kind of come off that way where it's like, oh,
100%.
this doesn't look fun at all or something.
Yeah.
Like any other game, and it's just like it just feels like transformed when
Mm, mm.
you're actually playing it.
Yeah.
So Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Really.
Especially on the smaller screen with the lower resolution, it may not be as much of an issue. And when you're in the heat of battle and stuff, you probably wouldn't be focusing on the backgrounds. Well, I assume you wouldn't be.
Yeah. But yeah, that kind of rounds up Pokemon this time. But Riot Games has got something to announce as well.
Yeah. So we've got we had a very special announcement from Riot Games, the notorious, the infamous company behind League of Legends and Valorant. So a few years ago, Riot Games purchased the rights to a project called, I think it was called Rising Thunder, which is basically like a game from like Seth Killian, who was like a long-time Capcom producer, as well as the Cannon brothers, who most famously created the Evo series, and I think they're also the masterminds behind the like GGPO rollback netcode that a lot of fighting games really use. Apparently, it's like kind of the benchmark for like multiplayer infrastructure, like netcode for fighting games. So, Project L seems to be the continuation of that existing project, but now it's going to be focused. It is more focused. It is exclusively of the League of Legends roster, which, you know, as we've seen with the League of Legends TV show, and I think, and there was also the mobile. Like there's actually, it's got a great art style. There's great characters. There's great lore to kind of tap into. And let's be honest, like most of the fighting games now are like especially like Guilty Gear Strive, or even fighting DNF Duel is like, they're pretty much League of Legends characters already anyway, in terms of their designs. And
I always thought of League of Legends as being Blizzard characters.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true, because they're kind of like riffs. Well, League of Legends was kind of like the fork in the road to Dota, which was basically a whole bunch of Blizzard assets ripped from Warcraft, turned into a game, and then kind of redesigned once Valve bought the license to it. So in a way, it's like Blizzard characters in a fighting game with more of a fantasy, colorful lens. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, like another way to put it would be that like old League of Legends trades in archetypes, like character, stock characters a lot. So it's kind of a perfect fit for a fighting game when you think about it.
Yeah. No, definitely. And basically, the news that's come down now is that Tom Cannon, one of the aforementioned Cannon brothers, has confirmed that the game is going to be a free-to-play title, like Valorant, like League of Legends, which is great because, as someone who is terrible at fighting games but really appreciates them, it's a game like this could be really great because the whole philosophy behind Rising Thunder was to make a game that has less of a barrier of entry in terms of button inputs and remembering combos and things like that, and just letting being more beginner friendly. And so that's kind of carried over here because he Tom Cannon actually says specifically, the move to free to play is as part of an initiative to, quote, remove as many barriers of entry as possible, quote. And another thing that stopped fighting games traditionally from getting bigger was, they traditionally required you to be, at an arcade or even having friends around to play on the, like a console port of, right? And then when the advent of multiplayer kind of made it that you could play with anyone around the world, but the netcode kind of kept a lot of fighting games back, held a lot of fighting games back from really replicating that in-person feel and the kind of the responsiveness there. So this could be a great way to make fighting games much more accessible, being free to play and having great netcode and having like a recognizable roster of characters, and a less reliance on kind of complex motions and things like that can get in the way of new players from really having fun with fighting games. It's because you know what you want to do, but you can't get the move out. That's the frustrating part.
Yeah. Like to kind of highlight, to go back to Rising Thunder, original project, because I was really excited for that, years ago before they were purchased, and I don't know, I could be excited for anything, but it was very interesting. Like I'm sure, like it was getting a lot of good press and it was getting a lot of traction, which is why they were purchased, and it's
Yeah.
like the way it worked mechanically was that it was very much based around normals and learning normals and really caring about normals being like just the
the
basic
regular moves.
button presses. Yeah,
Yeah.
not really combos, more about like the actual psychology of a fighting game match
Yeah.
against another player. And like and super moves were, instead of being like certain button combinations or anything like that, they were like, one button presses with cooldowns. Like that was the distinction that made Rising Thunder, kind of could have made it like a meaningful change in the industry. Like maybe
Yeah.
not, but that was what they were heading for. So it makes a lot of sense that Riot would want a game like that to build off Legend thing, and as well as kind of pairing that idea up with Valorant's netcode, or just their entire netcode as well. But it's like I remember Valorant, being announced, and half the announcement was this has got crazy good netcode.
Netcode,
Like
yeah.
that was like the entire thing. It's like it's like you like Counter Strike. Here it is with insanely good netcode. Like that was
Yeah.
the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So it's like,
yeah. No, sorry.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say it's like I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm still
Yeah,
not a fan
for
of
sure.
Riot, and League of Legends is not something that's really drawn me in that much.
Yeah.
Still, like there's a show. I only got a couple episodes in, and then I kind of bounced. I'm not sure I'll come back to it. And like
Yeah.
everything else about it has been, I don't know, it just hasn't captured me yet. And a lot of
Yeah.
these things are just nets for people. It's like they're waiting for people to jump into them so they can get drawn into the Riot behemoth.
Yeah. And then buy some DLC.
Yeah.
Buy some cosmetic items. Yeah, like
That's funny.
the was it League of Legends Arcane was the Netflix show. I saw episode 1. It seemed cool so far, but I like you, I didn't really get back into it. Like I didn't feel like I needed to watch the rest of it, but
Yeah.
maybe I'll
But
give
it's
it another
Yeah,
shot.
but like, sorry, but it's like it really worked on a lot of people. It's like people are really into that show, and it got them into playing the game or just caring about it,
Yeah.
or like playing that RPG from Gunship. I think I'm not sure what that developer's called, like the one who worked on Battle Chasers. It's like that turn-based RPG. And it's like there's they're trying to create more and more
Yes.
avenues.
Yeah, to
people
get involved
in.
in the universe, in the lore, and the content ecosystem.
Yeah, like but it's like like maybe next year you'll be playing League of Legends and talking about it.
Oh no! If that happens, bye full-time job.
Yeah.
So another thing that was showed off was a character called. Oh, I have no idea what's going on with. Okay, it's just my screen. Okay. Is the stream? Okay, no, it's all good. Never mind. I don't know what's going on with the stream. It's all fixed now. Also, Tom Cannon also announced the next character in the roster by the name of. There's going to be I's and L's together always get me. So I think it's Eloi, the truth bearer for the god Naga Kaburos. Jesus Christ.
Is that like Ilawi, like Maui?
Maybe Ilawi. Say Ilawi. The truth, and also like Maori, but that's New Zealand. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it is a Polynesian name. I'm not sure. But yeah, another character, I presumably from the League of Legends universe, which clearly we are so well versed in that we know this off the top of our head. But if folks, kind of eager to try out Project L, Tom Cannon promised that there should be at least one more video update for the game before the end of the year, but no kind of firm release date or even release window. I mean, the fact that it's still called Project something probably implies that it's a little ways off from being, like officially released. I don't know. I know Rising Thunder is a bit like a generic name, but there was something about it. I don't know.
Well, I actually forgot to say it as well. It's like I was really into the aesthetic because it was like the gimmick. I gotta stop saying that word so much. But like the premise of the game, that's a better word, was like each character was like a giant kaiju robot,
Mm.
I think it was always going to be
Yes.
robots.
Yes, it
And
was.
like
Yeah.
the arenas were going to be like cities with like, you know, a downscaled city. I was thinking, it's like, oh, why hasn't any game done that? Well, I mean, sure, one has, but
Yeah.
it's like, I really love that idea. Like having, you know, like really emphasizing scale as you're playing
Yeah.
each character. Like, I don't know, that's not, again, that's not new, but like that was really exciting to me. Like, I really
Yeah.
love that idea. And it's like, I don't know, it's a pity that part's probably gone, but
What
it's,
if
I don't know,
Yeah,
mechanically, I'm sure it'll be
yeah,
great.
mechanically, yeah. I mean, if we look at the video that's shown, I mean, and what they've shown previously, it definitely looks much more normal. But how cool would it be if they said,
Well,
"Oh, psych, everyone's a kaiju now. Everyone's in kaiju suits, like they're in giant, like kind of like the mechs from like a Pacific Rim. That's how they're fighting. That'd be so cool.
that actually
Uh,
would be cool to have like a universe themed kaiju, you know, like it's
I
just
know,
to be
right?
like mechas, but themed based on characters. I would
Mm,
want that
mm.
to happen more in things.
But yes, that's going to do it for the Project L news. How about we move over to some more projects, this time from the folks at uh, Behaviour Interactive. Might know as the developers of, as the developer of Dead by Daylight.
Yes. Is it called Behavior Interactive or Behavior Beyond? Because we got it.
It is Behaviour Interactive. Behaviour Beyond is the showcase.
Okay.
My bad.
No, that's I really should have. Anyway, yeah, okay. So Behavior Interactive's first showcase, titled Behavior Beyond, it's shown off
Yes.
a few new games, a bunch of new content for their title Dead by Daylight. So first up is their crossover with Resident Evil. I think this has been teased for a while, as I understand it. It's called Project W. Will include Wesker as a new killer. It's kind of based on his Resident Evil 5 appearance where he's dressed in leather and he's like a superhero. Oh, not a superhero, villain. Like he moves really fast.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca Chambers from Resident Evil 0 and 1, technically, and Ada Wong from a few of them. They're going to be new survivors in the game. So there isn't much detail on any of this. The only detail so far has been for Wesker. He will be able to infect other players, which will apparently work differently to Nemesis. I'm not sure what this means exactly because Nemesis is a Resident Evil 3 thing. I feel like Nemesis might be referring to something in Dead by Daylight proper. I'm not actually sure,
Yeah.
but that is what I read. So, and now you've heard it. So, Raccoon City Police Department map will be split into 2 maps, East and West Wings, and that's all the content so far for Resident Evil. For their Resident Evil crossover, it sounds like there'll be more coming. So, we'll maybe we'll update if there's more. After that was that the previously announced dating sim from the universe of Dead by Daylight called Hooked on You is now out. You can go play it.
That is crazy. That sentence there is crazy to me.
Yeah, I think it's like I feel like it's less surprising after they made a K-pop themed killer the other year, like however long
a couple of
ago
years
that
ago.
was.
Yeah,
It's like that feels. I don't know. I think like those two things together
something
makes
happy about that.
both of them less surprising. And lastly, for this one at least, I'm not sure if there was much else announced, but they have also announced. Oh, they did announce a new game that I forgot to cover. Anyway, but they have announced a new game called Meet Your Maker. This will be their first person building and raiding game that takes place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, which sounds kind of. It sounded very familiar to me. I was kind of when I first read that sentence, I was thinking, sounds a lot like Rust, and all those other games are like Rust.
Yes,
but it's actually seemingly a bit more like a first-person version of Mario Maker or something. Like that seems to be the idea, where it's on one side you have players building kind of these towering brutalist industrialist outposts. They're basically like gauntlets filled with traps to protect quote genetic material. Not sure what that means, but it kind of like it plays into like a larger world and story. But that's the idea: is that you're protecting money at the end of a long gauntlet that you're building. These gauntlets are sort of they're like more iterative. That's the idea. Players can test and then upload them for other people to play. The idea is that as people play it and beat it, you can kind of come back to it and see how people are playing it, and then change it and make it harder, and so on and so forth. That's that side of the game. The other side of the game is actually playing these gauntlets. I mean, as like a first person, gauntlet. Like that's I think what I've just described. Like you're trying to overcome the traps and just basically the machinations of the player who built this trap for you.
Yeah.
There's 2 weapons available: a harpoon gun with limited ammo, and a melee weapon. There's consumable grenades, a grappling hook, and so the idea is that you're basically trying to pull off a heist of someone else's kind of creation.
Treasure, yeah.
Yeah, so you're trying to get to the resource, then get out without dying, because you're dead in one try.
Yeah.
By one hit, but you can try as many times as you want. And
it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I really like it. Like I was surprised. Like I was like really expecting it to be, because it's a Dead by Daylight people who are kind of like, they created that genre, that sort of other, like Friday the 13th and a few other games kind of riffed on in their own ways.
Well, I mean, let's not forget. It's also what is it? Evolve. I think that was kind of one of the first. The asymmetric, the PvPV. Yeah, it's like PvPVE. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but like asymmetrical, where one person plays like some sort of creature of the week, and then the other player is trying to survive. Excuse me, or try to bring it down, and that's something that Evolve did with which from Turtle Rock, which were the folks who made the Left 4 Dead series. So that I think that crashed and burned. But Dead by Daylight has just been one of those it's like one of those constant games that you don't hear about, but it's just got a really big player base, and it's just like it's making money, but you just don't hear it in headlines.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they seem, they get headlines occasionally with like a new killer, like the K-pop one, or like like they have a lot of partnerships as well.
Yeah.
But it's so it's like, so from hearing the first parts of this game, and it's like, oh, this sounds like they're just kind of doing another genre as a long-term thing. But it's like a very, it's such a more inventive concept than I expected, which is cool. Like they're using all the money they gained from Dead by Daylight to make something
back into it,
interesting, and inventive.
Because it's like a mix of Mario Maker. It's like a mix of Mario Maker, No Man's Sky, and like
Quake, maybe.
It's got a very Quake aesthetic. Like I was thinking, id Software, a lot of browns and greys, a lot of like hideous monsters, and sort of like with like, it definitely has that id Software Quake design to it. Not just the level, like the actual enemies look like definitely something out of a Quake, like a reboot or something.
Yeah. But that's the last thing. So this is very much, they've said that it's intended to be another long-term project. So I suppose it's meant to exist parallel with Dead by Daylight as like just another service game that will just be updated forever as long as they can. And it's also kind of got a little bit of a focus on Twitch streaming as well, which makes sense. But it's that kind of covers Meet Your Maker, new game from Behaviour Interactive.
Yeah.
And that covers the showcase.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, let's take a quick second to have a drink of water, and we'll get straight into the next story, or set of stories. So this next story kicks off kind of like a couple of kind of general news from this past week. And this first one is that in Microsoft, as we all know, is planning to acquire Activision Blizzard for almost $69 billion US dollars. And as a part of this kind of ongoing process, it's had to file a few different documents and lodge a few claims through various trade commissions and federal kind of and like competitive commissions and one such ruling, one such filing is actually coming out of New Zealand of all places. In a filing to the New Zealand Business Acquisitions and Authorizations Commerce Commission, say that 3 times fast, Microsoft's written some like a very interesting. I don't know, has used some interesting language when describing the fact that acquiring Activision Blizzard is not going to be a threat to the overall gaming market and limiting the release of, sought after titles on competing platforms like Nintendo Switch or the PlayStation platforms. So this is a quote here specifically with respect to Activision Blizzard video games. There is nothing unique about the video games developed and published by Activision Blizzard that is a quote must-have quote for rival PC and console video game distributors that could give rise to a foreclosure concern. So, it's not going to result in a lack of competition within the company because within the industry because, frankly speaking, there's nothing. I don't know. There's nothing when you say the company you're buying has no must-have titles. It's kind of I don't know. I'm not expecting this kind of like honesty from a company such as Microsoft. What do you think?
Well, is it honesty? It doesn't sound like it, but it's like it just sounds like they're trying to downplay.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like we're spending $69 billion on not much.
Yeah.
But
Don't worry. It's not going to hurt anyone. Like it's all going to be
Yeah.
good. Nothing's gonna. You're not even going to notice. Not even going to notice.
As part of this New Zealand filing, this also included. We don't have the show notes. I'm kind of going off my memory, but it's like this also included statements from a number of other companies, including
Yes.
PlayStation, all the major publishers, and a few others, like just major game corporations, basically.
Yes.
From what I remember, everyone was fine with it except for Sony.
Yes.
Sony made it very the one thing that came out of Sony's statement was that making it very clear that they believe that nothing can replace or replicate Call of Duty in terms of its just overall significance in the game industry and as a product, as in like we can try and make another one, but we can never make another one, and it's not even really worth trying. So they were basically trying to say that, and like that, they were saying this by saying also Call of Duty is a big part of our profit margins. So
having that taken away.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were against it because they're saying this is like Call of Duty is basically a cornerstone of the industry.
Yeah,
and that fact applies to us as well as it does anyone else. Like as in other platform holders, namely Microsoft. So it's so it's I'm kind of more inclined to go with Sony there because that does sound very true to reality.
And like in the filing itself, there's acknowledgement that quote Microsoft has demonstrated that it is not withdrawing content from other platforms, and that includes Call of Duty, right? And it was gonna the thing here to keep in mind is that so quote it will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement and beyond. And it, Microsoft has also publicly stated that it is interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's platform. End quote. So the existing agreement and beyond just means, okay, there's already licensing in place, there's already agreements there, co-marketing, things like that. So we're going to honor that and beyond, but it doesn't say exactly what that means going forward, is there going to be a 6-month head start, or is there going to be like a 1 month? Like even a 1 month head start for a Call of Duty would be a huge game changer.
Yeah, it's very much them asking for faith in them. In that what they're saying is going to remain true going forward past all the marketing agreements. So it's like that is the point, they're trying to convince the New Zealand government that what they're saying is going to be true, especially in contrast to what other people are saying. Which it seems to be mostly Sony. Everyone else is fine with it, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
I think there are some other interesting statements in the mix there, but that is the core disagreement.
Yeah. I mean, like famously, Sony was publicly the last holdout for crossplay. Like Microsoft and Nintendo have had agreements in place for Minecraft and other games to remain on Switch and continue to be playable there and things like that. But I mean, I think it's kind of justified from Sony's point of view. You know, if you're buying this huge, like you already have Bethesda, you already have Ninja Theory, and you know, Double Fine is part of that, right? Double Fine, Obsidian, like you've already got a stable of, like, now effectively first party developers. Now you're going to add an entire publisher, another entire publisher to yours, with arguably some of the biggest games, and you know, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, like just those two games alone probably make billions of dollars a year, right? So that's a huge loss for Sony, which famously in recent years hasn't been doing too well financially and relies on PlayStation and its movie division to kind of keep it propped up in a lot of ways. So yeah, I definitely understand where Sony and its like kind of PlayStation kind of brands are worried about this, but you know, time will tell. We'll find out soon enough exactly how. I don't know how supportive Microsoft will remain. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's like I wouldn't expect them to change much because Microsoft get more money out of keeping it on PlayStation.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Like there's not much. Like they get little benefit out of locking stuff out. Which is, you know, like you're right about like Minecraft being like the perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Like it's the exact same deal. It's like just something that makes gigantic amounts of money. Everywhere. So why would we stop that? You know. So it's
100%.
Time will tell, as you said.
Yeah. Well, speaking of time will tell, another announcement is one coming from Logitech and Tencent. So Logitech, like I think it's like a 30-40-year-old like kind of peripheral company, you know, keyboards, mice, steering wheel, like pretty much if you can think of any sort of gaming accessory, Logitech's got its fingers in that pie. And Logitech has announced that its G division, which is kind of its gamer-specific peripheral division, has partnered with Tencent Games. So Tencent Games, part of Tencent, which is like a huge Chinese media conglomerate. One of the, you know, owns a huge stake in Epic Games, Riot Games. I think it owns Riot Games outright, and a few other key purchases there. So the two companies are partnering together on a new cloud gaming focused handheld system. So as part of this, both companies announced that they're already working with the Xbox cloud gaming team, as well as the NVIDIA GeForce Now development teams. So those are Microsoft and NVIDIA's cloud gaming service teams, respectively. And that the appeal is so that players can play their AAA games, quote AAA games when they're away from their console or PC, end quote. So the interesting thing here is that unlike something like the Steam Deck and other like handheld PCs and like something like the Nintendo Switch, which are designed to play games natively, like on the hardware that you're playing on, like as in the computing power is in there to run the games, whereas this is sort of like, you know, when the Nintendo Switch has, you know, those cloud streaming versions of like games like The Witcher 3 or
I don't know.
No, sorry, Assassin's Creed. I think it's Assassin's Creed. And also like when people are playing on their Steam Deck and they're playing like a streamed version of their Steam games from the library somewhere else in the house. This is basically taking that idea and making hardware dedicated specifically to it, instead of like an add-on to like an iPad or, you know, or a phone. Me personally, I think this would be great because I have found myself playing, I guess, not having as, I guess, like time spent Okay, I'll take a step back. When you got a significant other or a partner, you don't want to be. You may not get the chance to kind of be in front of the PC playing a game, or in front of the console playing the game, away from them, right? So what I do is, like, when my wife is watching TV on the bed, I'll just be next to her with playing Destiny 2, streaming from Steam onto my iPad through the Steam Link or the Moonlight app, and I'll just pair like a DualShock controller, Bluetooth controller, and play that way. There's a there's a little bit of input lag. Like, there's like, it's actually pretty good because, like, it only adds like another maybe 20 milliseconds or something of delay, which isn't significant. Like, probably for a multiplayer game, like, I don't play Destiny 2's like Crucible mode, the multiplayer mode, like that. But when I'm playing it, when I'm just doing kind of like the PvE activities, or even if you're just playing a game that's not like a really twitch, like, you wouldn't play Cuphead on it, but it's perfectly serviceable for like the majority of games probably in your library. You don't necessarily need to spend that extra money on a really heavy duty system in your hand. Like, imagine a something that was a handheld that was a couple of $100 potentially, that just let you access, maybe it supports, if it already supports Xbox Cloud Gaming and GeForce Now, it could. What if it supports Steam, the Steam Link feature? What if it supports Ubisoft's, I think Ubisoft Plus, like kind of that service, or Amazon with its Luna streaming, or I mean Stadia still exists, I think.
Yeah, I forgot about Luna.
Yeah, and then also like, who knows, maybe even PlayStation with the remote play functionality. Like, this could be a great way to do that while you're not taking money away from those companies, because you're not creating your own, app store or whatever. You're not creating your own competing system. You're just providing basically a screen and controller a controller interface for existing services. So this could be a great, like, kind of happy medium there. What do you think?
I definitely think it sounds. My first thought, I guess it's just because of Tencent as well, but my first thought is that they're trying to design a, like a secondary mobile handheld for, like, especially for Asian markets. Where, like, where they have like much better internet support than other places can, like, just like more widely available for game streaming, because that's such a high, like, intensely bandwidth heavy sort of thing still. And it's like, it's like, I know in America and UK and elsewhere, or just Europe, everywhere outside
everywhere
Australia,
that is. Yep.
it's like, it's not really, it's still not like that common, because it's just so expensive still, that kind of access.
Yeah.
Like, to play it regularly. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. My point is that, like, I think it's just I mean, I guess you'd probably guess as well. It's like, it's gonna be a customized Android device built to have several apps on it and stream better than a phone would, without being so heavily reliant on the battery life of a phone.
Yeah.
That's something you use extra. Like, that's like, I mean, I feel like that's been done before already. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I guess it's just more like pro phone, like hardcore powerful phones maybe have tried that already. But it's I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of sense in it though.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense to kind of do it now while things are like ramping 100%.
Up. And like was it like the Razer Kishi and like devices like that are kind of like controller grips for phones. They're never quite as, like, they always seem like a bit of a compromise. So having a handheld that's like built from the ground up with a great control interface could be a great it could be a great option. The one thing I may not be, like, because you're right, bandwidth is so limited, maybe this may not be the right fit. I don't think in Australia may not be the right fit for people who are streaming directly from the cloud, but I think this could be a great candidate for people who are streaming within the home, within their local network. That's where this could be a really, really awesome thing, because, our internet's pretty shocking.
Yeah, like it says, like, both companies are working with Xbox and Nvidia, and that makes me think they're probably more like extra aspects of the product to me, more than, like, I actually don't know. I'd be very curious to know what their, like, core audience is, because like I mentioned that, and that's very much Western, like, products that I don't think are available in, like, Asian markets yet.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like something to kind of No, and that like it's welcome, but it feels like something where it's like it's probably not their primary focus.
Yeah, and I think this could
I kind of
be. Yo, sorry.
oh,
Yeah, like
I just like yeah, basically what I just said. I'm not sure where it's like what it's focusing on, what it's like trying to achieve as a product exactly.
yeah. I think it may be trying to compete more heavily with the mobile market, and where there's probably a lot of data showing in Asia that a lot of people are playing primarily on their phones, maybe, and so this could be a way
Yeah.
to tap into that market. You provide them with the portability that they're looking for, but then also access the library and the in-game purchases or whatever of the various services. So you kind of you don't really lose anything there, provided that your internet provided the gameplay experience is smooth enough.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like the myth behind Stadia, where
Yeah,
the idea that like there was the core part, which is people don't want to buy expensive hardware to play these cool looking games.
yeah,
That's the good part, and then it's like, but they want to pay $60 for it still. That's not really something that's going to happen. Like
yeah,
that's the reason it really didn't work. But it's like this is like the same idea though. It's like it's very much like aimed at it. I mean, I imagine it is aimed
yeah,
at people who aren't willing to go beyond their phones and
yeah,
what they're comfortable with
yeah.
when it comes to games. And yeah, like you're right, like it's about expanding that market.
And that's the thing. Like the Stadia thing was like, okay, people don't want to buy new hardware to play a game. Okay, but we're still gonna have our own proprietary controller. Yes, we'll support your ones, but we'll also have our own. And then we're gonna and it's not going to be compatible with all of our existing Chromecasts except this new one, like the revision of the existing one we had, and also the new Chromecast we're releasing in a few months is not going to have it for like a year. Like, it was a bit of a like it was like kind of doomed to fail from the start. So yeah,
I will say I did kind of miss the to market later this year part of our show.
which is cool. That's the cool
That's much
part.
sooner than I expected.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's just like what. Here's my wish list would be like, I I would actually I don't know maybe if they could somehow make something that's the size of a Nintendo Switch with the control interfaces, but make it a bit more kind of molded because the Switch is very flat. It's not very comfortable to hold, and you could potentially fit a larger screen without. Because there's bezels, like maybe by having thinner bezels and switching to an OLED screen, you could potentially have like a bigger screen in the same footprint.
But what about
Yeah,
the like Nvidia Shield clamshell thing?
yeah,
Remember those?
yeah, and so it could be something like that. I mean, like Logitech's made, like it's got a long history with controllers, but I don't remember their like kind of not knockoff, but like their kind of licensed controllers alternatives for Xbox and PlayStation being that like popular. So I don't know how well they do with controllers. I know like steering wheels and like flight sticks and stuff like great, but yeah, I don't know from a purely controller perspective. So we'll see. They've got the money and the resources and the research and development team to do it. And yeah, who knows? It's just the Tencent angle is like interesting.
Well, they do have like I tend to forget just how many like they have fingers in like every single pie of gaming. So it's like I do kind of forget just how entrenched they already are. It's like they're like literally everywhere. Like I don't think there's any companies they're not part of.
Yeah, and like imagine like if you think of it, imagine this being sort of like a Trojan horse. To get to use this, you have to create a Tencent account.
I guess.
And then now you've got like a whole bunch of like devices in Western countries that have a Tencent account. It's like, oh, and then you see an ad for a Tencent game, or like something similar, right? Like that can happen in the future.
Maybe. I was like that. Yeah, because like Facebook did the same thing with Oculus.
Yeah.
Before it was called Meta,
which everyone
like,
loved.
And then they rolled it back.
Yeah.
Recently,
Very recently. Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. Like I think Tencent's thing is to make money on like a mass scale, like more lots of little bits. more than it is trying to like really squeeze
From
everything
one
out
thing.
of individual things. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So-
fair enough.
Oh, yeah, but you're totally right. Like maybe
Yeah.
that could happen. Yeah.
So this next story is also, I guess, like some new things being teased, and basically, Sony. So the senior vice president of PlayStation's platform experience team, Hideaki Nishino, took to the PlayStation blog to announce that the latest PS5 beta will include two highly sought after features, or two kind of one highly sought after feature and another kind of like nice to have feature. So the first feature is that the PlayStation 5 will support 1440p output over HDMI. Now, the reason why this is important is because the 1080p and 4K are TV resolutions. So most people who are playing on the TV will have access to either of those. However, if you're the type of person who's plays on a monitor, you could be in a college dorm, or you could be, you've got a whole setup around a nice monitor, like a 4K monitor, or even like with like a really nice gaming monitor. Most gaming monitors that have a really good refresh rate, really low input lag, are 1440p. It's the right sweet spot between size, performance, and number of pixels. So the fact that a lot of these people, like people with already capable displays, are seemingly arbitrarily locked out of that resolution to play their games seemed baffling, especially because the Xbox Series and the Xbox One, like they both supported those, like both generations supported that resolution, and it just makes it easy. Former staffer Ed he bought a 1440p gaming monitor specifically for this new generation of consoles, and then found out that only the Xbox Series S that he bought would support 1440p, and that his PS5 would run at 1080p, and then the monitor's built-in scaling kind of like algorithms will kind of stretch the image to fill the full pixels, which doesn't look as sharp and potentially adds some input lag, which you're trying to get rid of when you buy a monitor like this, right?
Yeah.
So that's why this is such a huge, this is a big deal. Unfortunately, at this stage, it seems like if you want to play the PS5 on a monitor that is 1440p resolution, you won't also get the benefit of a variable refresh rate. Now, a variable refresh rate means that the refresh rate, so how many times the screen kind of flashes and updates the image on screen, won't match the frame rate of your game. So unless your game is like kind of locked at 30, 60, or 120, then it's fine. It's not an issue. But when there's a mismatch between the frame rate and the refresh rate of a monitor or a screen, you get what's called tearing, where part of one image is on one half of the screen, and the other part, the next part of the next image is loading halfway, and you get a little bit of kind of that jagged lines, or kind of like a mismatch, and that comes across as like, it looks like tears in the screen where there's like two images crossing paths. So variable refresh rate, or kind of free sync from the AMD side and G-Sync from the NVIDIA side, is something that PC gamers have been using for years to kind of get around that. I think the Xbox One supported that, and now the Xbox Series S and X and the PS5 support it. But for the PS5, it doesn't appear to be supported at 1440p. At this point in time, it's still a beta after all. As like a neat side effect though is that a game that normally kind of targets a 4K resolution, the fact that those games will then be subsampled or kind of scaled down to 1440p means that you kind of get like sort of like a free anti-aliasing. So the free kind of filtering that removes kind of the jagged lines from like around objects, you kind of get that for free because of the way that the technology works. It's just kind of like a bonus. So that could be something that would be useful there. The other thing I can think is that from a developer's point of view, it means that you, I mean, I guess with games are already a little bit more a little bit more complicated now with the graphic settings. You've got performance mode, you've got kind of visual quality mode, and then now you're going to have that, but at 1440p. So a game that wasn't quite hitting 60 at 4K, but was hitting 60 fine on 1080p, you might find that there's going to be like a 1440p option that is locked at 60, whereas the 4K might be floating anywhere between like the mid 40s to 60. So this could actually be like a good, like I wonder what it means from a developer's point of view.
Well, it's like if it's already been on Xbox for a long time, I'd kind of be interested to know what kind of options are there.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if this kind of stuff adds much work. I mean, I know it has to add
some work at least. Yeah.
But I do wonder, it's like, do they ever welcome this kind of stuff, or is it just kind of one on the pile nowadays, just because there's so many options that are expected?
Yeah, they just go into their software kit and they just go the drop down menu, select resolution, then they where 1440p was grayed out. Now it's option. That's how easy game development is, right? We just click 1440p, export 60 frames, done. That's. I'm joking.
Move the mouse around. Games.
Yeah, there's a game there. The other feature that Sony's including testing out in the latest beta is that is the game lists feature. Essentially, it's a way for you to organize your game library into folders, and you can have up to 15.
I like the way you say that. Like it's like an innovation. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. It's something that like smartphones have had for like 12 years or something since they came out, or since like iOS 2 or something very early. And then the PS4 had it already. I believe the Xbox already has it. So now what you can do is you can organize, you can have up to 15 lists of up to 100 games in each list. So you could have like a list saying, okay, completed games, done. You could have a list that's multiplayer, and then another list that's like narrative, another list that's like shooter or racing, and you can kind of separate that out, and depending on your mood, you can kind of flick through the list. The great thing also is that there's no kind of restrictions around having a mix of like disc games and kind of downloadable games. You can mix and match in your list, which I think is great. That would be really frustrating.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it does sound pretty basic. I like you mentioned like completed games, and I was thinking, I was like, oh, that's kind of a funny thing to do with games on the hard drive. But I do wonder if you can put it on stuff that aren't downloaded onto the console or not. That is something kind of interesting.
Yeah, and this also includes streaming games. So games like if you've got the premium, super deluxe, mega excellent version of PlayStation Plus, you can stream PS3 games on it, which not in Australia, but in other regions. Because I think you get the PS1 and PS2 classics, but you don't get the streaming of PS3. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got deluxe with those two things. Everywhere else has got whatever the word they have that has PS3 stuff too. Yeah.
So I guess that's like a kind of a cool thing. Sony also quietly listed or kind of quietly removed the accolades feature, essentially from the PS5. Essentially, it was something new that was introduced that let players, should I put it this way, kind of commend or award kind of like points to other players that they meet, like players that they meet online, to kind of like, I guess, commend them on gameplay or being like a great team player or like being like having a good kind of battle with an opponent. Unfortunately, it seems like no one was using this, so therefore it's gone. The way Sony basically quietly updated one of its support sites and just said, quote, "The feature hasn't seen the level of usage we anticipated, so we are refocusing our efforts." Quote. Yeah. When I first saw the headline, I thought that it was being used as like a way of trolling, because of course it would be. It's like when
I think it might just not be in some games. So I think it's like it's like activity cards and stuff where it's like a developer
not everything has that
work to have it. Yeah. Like almost nothing has activity cards, especially good ones. As far I can't say that with certainty, but I know it's like relatively
like a
rare.
good implementation of it.
Yeah, it's like because I played Ghost of Tsushima the other week, and that technically has them, but they don't really work. Like they can only like it's like a lot of the games are like they're almost like an extension of trophies where it just kind
Yeah.
of tracks what you're doing
Yep.
and tells you what you've been doing lately, but won't necessarily work the way you want, where it will like just toss you right into where to start that thing.
Yeah.
Because not every game's suited for it as well.
Of
Sometimes
course.
it doesn't matter, but it's like it's very varied. So it kind of makes sense that Accolades is like, and no one's heard about it since they announced it. So
Yeah.
I imagine it just hasn't been in too many games in the first place.
And this is going to happen. This is going to the feature's going to go away in the fall of 2022. So our spring. Yeah. So sometime in the next like maybe like in the next 3-4 months, expect it to go away.
So
if
get
you
your
ever used
Accolades
it.
in now.
Yeah,
around.
100%. Yeah, make sure you commend everyone who's doing really well, who's really friendly to you online.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Like it actually
Yeah.
sounds like a cool feature. Like I'm sure I liked the idea of it a lot when it was announced, like with the PS5 and so on.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a pity. I guess they could have done it better on not just like a full operating system level that doesn't need to be implemented so heavily.
Which would be
But
cool
I don't know.
and might spread some positivity, but who wants to? Apparently gamers don't want to commend each other or didn't even know they could.
And also developers don't.
And developers don't want players to. Yeah, yeah. I'll finish off this next story. This is a very quick one. But essentially, Discord has announced that it is going to be updating its Android app development going forward, in such a way that it's going to have feature parity, and with the kind of the desktop and iOS equivalents of the app. Essentially, what's been happening is that Discord uses the React Native the React Native software framework from Meta to, I guess, streamline development for the Windows, Mac, and iOS/iPad OS versions of Discord. Android was seemingly on a different type of kind of development structure, and so by bringing it onto React and making it, I guess, streamlined, it means that updates and features can be pushed across all the platforms through a centralized and streamlined app development process, quote unquote. And it also means should mean faster app updates, so more frequently happening, and also faster bug fixes, which is great because, like, why would you alienate like such a huge part of the smart? Why would you like kind of treat a huge part of the smartphone market as like second-class citizens? I do not understand. I do not support this.
I think Android users like it though. Every other app does it.
Yeah,
but
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It is probably about time. Discord's like a very big thing and has been for a little while. So
definitely.
Yeah.
But let's take it on to some kind of rumors and kind of new game leaks. Let's sorry, man.
I need a break. Sorry.
Oh yeah, go for it, man. Let's take a quick break, folks.
Yeah.
So let's finish off the last part of the news by talking about some of the couple of rumors and kind of couple of interesting developments from the game side of things. First of all, John, let's see, Crystal Dynamics. What's going on with Tomb Raider?
Yes. Big leak for Tomb Raider this week. It's kind of showing. I think it's like very similar thing that Silent Hill went through a few months or so back. So a lot of new details that were DMCA'd by Crystal Dynamics or Embracer. I'm not sure which. But seemingly the developer themselves. Yeah, seemingly confirming a lot of it. So over the weekend, it's like, yeah, so it's like a number of new details. Part of this was that apparently it came from an audition script for a role in the game. And part of this script illuminated aspects of the game. So this includes Lara Croft leading a team of younger Tomb Raiders. Character-wise, she's dealing with the isolation of success. I think she's meant to be a like influencer type, which honestly isn't the worst avenue for a Tomb Raider, I suppose. But it doesn't matter. But it's yeah. So this leak was spread like this was like led, I guess, spearheaded, whatever, leaked by Colin Moriarty, a renowned gross person who I don't actually remember why, but it is I don't know,
controversial figure.
And
host of the Sacred Symbols podcast.
Yes, which is his PlayStation podcast, I believe. Well, I imagine it covers numerous things. But yeah, in his video, Moriarty stated, quote, "They DMCA'd Patreon to have them ask us to take down the offending audio of us talking about the new Tomb Raider game. I was acting on the notion that this is fair use. This is general interest. This is of huge general interest." He added, "I didn't break into Crystal Dynamics to steal it." So yeah, that's something. So it's yeah. So it basically, just like Silent Hill, seemingly confirms that it's all real, more or less. And yeah. So and now we have something of an idea of what the next Tomb Raider game will look like. So it'll be. Because my first thought with the group of team of younger Tomb Raiders thing was that it's an excuse for co-op.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And she deals with isolation of success as like an influencer in the world, as like a famous person doing a very colonialist, horrible thing.
Yeah.
Because
let's not forget that part.
The last one was like really. They didn't make the last one. Eidos
Montreal. I think
but that
so,
one was like that one was the first one that tried to engage with the problematic aspects of the game, and apparently it just did the worst job of it. It did like the exact opposite by accident. Anyway, but the idea of her being more sad is not exciting to me.
Yeah,
considering that's her whole thing for the last 3 games.
And apparently Moriarty said he got his hands on a script as part of an audition for one of the voice roles, and this is where these details came from. Allegedly, yeah. But the fact that it got DMCA'd, it does that Barbara Streisand effect here, I think, where it's kind of amplified the message that the company was trying to suppress.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like, it's such a easy thing to dismiss, too. Like, as like the kind of the nature of the leak and how few details were part of it. So it's not like it's spoiling any like major gameplay conceits or anything. I don't know. Maybe it's like the story isn't unimportant, but it's also just I don't know. It just feels like such an easy thing for people to glance at it and like have like a 50-50 kind of approach to it. I was like, oh, that might be true, but it might not be. Like just kind of not really remember it, you know? Like that's how I would have saw it. It's like, oh, that seems like a solid fake sort of thing. Like, it doesn't really seem like, you know, that believable at a glance. So I'm surprised they'll go ahead and confirm it for us.
Yeah.
They really want us to know.
This is on the opposite of what I think the company intended to do. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe it DMCA'd it to get attention to this, and then it's actually going to change. It's actually all wrong. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe that's like the long play.
That'd be nice. I don't know the premise revealed by this. But I'm also not a huge fan of the games. So. Yeah.
I mean, I played the first 2 games. I mean, the first 2 of the reboot series. And like, I enjoyed them. I haven't played, what's the last one? Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
which I've heard is the worst of them, or at least
heard
not as good
mixed
as the
things
second
on it.
one.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard like good and bad in various ways, but it's yeah. I've also played the first two because I played the first two kind of recently, but I ended up
okay,
getting
yeah,
burnt out by the second
yeah.
one,
You're
and,
gonna,
like before I got into the third one.
yeah. It seemed like it was a longer game,
Yeah, that's probably right.
and you,
I didn't mind it either, but I do wish the writing was stronger, and I still don't like Lara Croft in this version much.
yeah,
She's just very
considering,
pouty generally.
and also the fact that like you're basically fighting alongside some sort of facsimile of Jesus was kind of weird. It's just
Wait, when did that
if you
happen? In the second
remember
one?
in the second one, yeah, remember that guy who turns out he's like 1,000 years
yeah.
old and stuff.
Yeah, 'cause it's been like he's got the stigmata. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, and then and I was just like, Jesus Christ, it's that
Literally.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, exactly, but yeah, I'll kind of leave that there. Oh no, you're there. I'll leave that there. Let's cap it off by talking about this last piece of news, which is that okay, a YouTube creator by the name of JTits All Business, or JT It's All Business, sorry, said that after they invested about US equivalent of about $100,000 into Diablo Immortal, which is the kind of like free to play spin off, mobile first, then /PC spin off of the Diablo series. So after spending all that money on it, they reached a point where their character was so over leveled that they couldn't actually matchmake with anyone anymore. Because there's no one who spent as much as them, apparently, to get there, right? Now, as part of this, after he kind of made that video and talked about it, a lot of outlets picked it up. I mean, we're basing our reporting on Eurogamer, and Blizzard, and in an update video, JT Is All Business. Sorry. Sorry, my bad. Saying that Blizzard has reached out to him. Sorry, that a Blizzard representative has reached out to him and said that, quote, it has, quote, approved a fix, and that is coming in, quote, next coming days, end quote. This is silly. Like, this is just like one of those just kind of silly stories. But I was just like, it's just fascinating that you could actually.
Not a bad word for it, actually.
Yeah.
Silly.
It's
It just like
yeah.
all around just feels like this is a dumb thing this guy did. Which whether it was addiction related or not, but I imagine it's not.
It's probably one of those like kind of like content kind of
Yeah,
things you do for
figured,
content,
yeah.
but I guess like Blizzard maybe didn't count on anyone spending that much money in the game this early, so just had nothing to kind of get around, like to account for it.
It feels
I
like
think it's just funny.
a good ending.
Yeah,
It does feel like something where it's like this should be the consequence
yeah,
of it, shouldn't it? Like realistically. But
yeah.
it's,
I mean, has this person paid to win if they can't play with anyone? Like, you know, how can you win if you can't compete against anyone? Does that mean you've already won? Like, there's no one at your level?
it's like if you spend enough money, if you give enough money to Blizzard, they'll teach you a life lesson.
Yeah,
a valuable one that
when
costs
you get
$100,000.
it's lonely for the 1%ers. That's the lesson apparently. Oh, but yeah, that's going to do it for the news this past week. It's been it's actually been a surprisingly bumper week with all these kind of like very stories kind of happening and adding up to be a pretty big step. So let's move over to talk about the chit chat and what we've been playing or watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, John, you've still been watching Players, haven't you? The mockumentary series from Paramount Plus.
Yeah. So the last 2 episodes came out. So I've finished it now. First season has been is over. So I really loved the ending of that show. Like that show really what's the word? Like it lands well, whatever the phrase is. Like it like lands the oh damn it.
Kind of
Anyway,
the promise. It sticks
sure.
the landing when it of the promise.
Sticks
that,
the landing.
Yeah,
That's
there
the
we
word
go.
I wanted. Yeah, like it's a very like I really enjoyed it as like it does what I really wish more shows would do. Like maybe it's just because they're not necessarily expecting a second season too, but it has like most of the last episode is like a full resolution and kind of conclusion. Like it like
Wow.
has a lot of new stuff to the main story, which is like I remember the show Justified, which is sort of a pulp like neo-western show from a few years ago back. And
Yeah.
that one, like I remember one of the things I really loved about that show, each season would have maybe I'm misremembering, has been a while. But what I remember noticing at least once was that like one season would, get to the last like episode or two and then have like the main plot line is like over an episode or two before it. So you just get like a full resolution of that story,
And
which
then
always made a lot of sense to me as like a television show that lasts like 10 hours or whatever,
yeah,
where it's like, oh, anyway, I'm getting away from it. I really like,
that's actually pretty cool. That idea. Yeah.
yeah, like that's kind of what I enjoyed about it. So it's like, yeah, to kind of recap, Players is a mockumentary slash parody, like sports documentary parody, except it's about a team at the League of Legends, like esports competitive level, called Fugitive, and them kind of reaching the grand finals of like the North American bracket. And yeah, like it's like based on kind of parodying The Last Dance, the Chicago Bulls slash Michael Jordan documentary
Yep.
series. So but it's it's entirely fictional, and it's like I really like I was just surprised at how much I enjoyed the ending of it. Like it's like because the whole show is like quite good. Like I was surprised at how good it was and how much it's not really much of a comedy, as I was saying last week. But it's yeah, like as a story, it like really comes together in a really strong way. So if anyone has Paramount in Australia, which because I'm not sure what else is too much else is on there. It's very much
Halo.
like I know, but
Star
it's like
Trek, I think, is moved over.
Oh, there's this show called Dark Winds that I haven't finished.
And Evil. I've heard Evil apparently is a big show on there. Which
is it on Paramount? Okay,
I think it's Paramount, mate. Oh, could be. I don't know. They're both blue. They're both blue with white writing. It's
yeah, that's yeah. But yeah, anyway, I watched that. I really enjoyed it. I hope it gets a second season, but like because of the ending, it doesn't really need it. Like I thought that was like they did a really good job of like wrapping up the core story. There's still threads to follow, like big ones, but because it's kind of a documentary parody anyway, it kind of works that there isn't an ending, just because life's like that.
Yeah.
It can have like it has an ending in some ways, but things just keep going in ways that can be big or small, and I kind of like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah. So
I had a question. So it's like it does weave in kind of like real players and real like teams, right? Like into the narrative.
I think there's real teams in it, but I have no idea about the real players aspect.
Gotcha.
Like everyone seemed like an actor to me. So like no one stood out as like a real person trying to act. So but maybe that's a compliment. I don't know. But it's
maybe.
Oh, I will say I noticed towards the end is that like exactly like The Last Dance didn't teach me anything about basketball, and I still don't know anything about basketball. This show did not teach me about League of Legends.
It just
I still
was
don't
incidental.
know how it works. Yeah. Like so it's so that's something.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. No, that's awesome. Is that a recommendation from you?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. Awesome.
It's like one of the only gaming related
shows
I would say is very good in its own right. It's aside from that,
Porcodio che caldo che fa in Romagna. Hey, we have a new follower. I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry. Is that Italian? Romagna sounds like a region in Italy. Top pronuncia.
Well, Romania is a place.
No, Romagna. Because I know that because the Emilia Romagna race in Formula One, the Grand Prix is held at Imola, and they always say Romagna, which I think is a region, like a region in Italy. So, grazie. I don't know how to say welcome in Italian. I'd love to know. Please do. Fa un caldo della Madonna. I do not know what that means. I'm so sorry. But thank you. I think.
Yeah.
Please.
I hope we're thankful. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. What else? You've been also watching a little bit of the rehearsal.
Yes. The Rehearsal is Nathan Fielder's new television show on HBO. It airs on Binge here, that streaming
God.
platform. That's
You
kind of
s-
Foxtel-ish.
Yeah, that sucks. No surround
Has it gotten
sound,
any
no
better?
HD.
Like, 'cause
No, I don't.
I'm watching it through other means, and I haven't tried Binge out in a
I,
while again.
I wouldn't expect it to be being Binge. You can't even unsubscribe from its from its marketing because it doesn't the website doesn't look well. Rubino Lover asks how we are. We are very well. Well, I am very well. John, sounds like you've been he's been in stormy weather, braving the harsh weather in Western Australia.
Here in Perth, Western Australia, it's like there's a storm front just hitting us very hard right now. So it's almost over. So that's something.
How are you, Rubino Lover? We'll wait for their response while you tell us a little bit about the rehearsal. So, Nathan Fielder, Nathan for you. Is this like a bigger budget kind of like continuation of it? Like it looks weird, man.
Probably not, because I've only seen a little bit of Nathan for You. I've always been meaning to watch it, but the premise behind Nathan for You was he was someone with like a college degree in like business, and he was using that as he reached out to real people and came up with sometimes bizarre but like genuinely well-meaning ideas on how to improve their business.
Yeah,
like that was the premise of that one. This one is a bit different, where it's he's basically got all the money he needs to kind of get people.
Oh no, I was gonna say sorry, Rubino Lover. Our sound alerts are broken. I've got to fix that. So sorry, but he does say, or he or she says, here in Italy it is very hot. Yes, we have heard about the heat wave affecting a lot, like most of Europe. It seems like. So I really hope that you've been able to avoid getting heat exhaustion or any other issues from it. But yeah, sorry, John.
Yeah, so the rehearsal it's like another kind of similar scenario where he's reaching out to real people, or like he put out like a Craigslist ad for like basically searching for. I'm actually not sure. It was very short. It was very much trying to getting a lot of people, because it was like a Craigslist ad that said you'll be on television, send in like an audition. I think that was like the whole thing. Like it was very much trying to pull in any sort of anybody. And like just like a lot of interesting scenarios, because the first episode is about someone who was a trivia fan, like spent a lot of his free time going to trivia bars, playing trivia, just like a Jeopardy fan, and like that was a big part of his life and a big part of his friend group. And he was saying that he accidentally he ended up lying on the spot about having a master's degree to this friends group. And it ended up it just kind of never stopped being a part of his backstory for these people. And he really wanted he wanted to break free of it. And there was one friend he was really afraid would react in a really bad way. And so basically the idea behind the first episode, at least, is that with like Nathan is allowing him to rehearse it so comprehensively.
Got you.
Like there's the actors coming in, like an actor has to goes and has an interview, like a fake interview with the person, so they can get their mannerisms down, so they can play them well in a rehearsal for like weeks, just to get this conversation down. It's
so
actually
cool.
really funny.
That is so absurd and cool.
It's like the hardest I've laughed in a while, and also genuinely like really sincere as well. It's amazing. It's because a lot of the like humor comes from just realizing that something's fake, suddenly, like something's been like a part of the rehearsal in a way. And
Yeah.
Nathan Fielder is a very funny person in his own right, but it's basically like a big examination of how social awkwardness and anxiety
Gotcha.
manifest, and like how you approach. Because I'm an introverted person with a lot of social anxiety,
Yeah.
and it's very reminiscent of how you approach
Gotcha.
like human being. Like
So
you plan it out,
okay.
like or like no, not so literally,
Yeah.
but you think through a lot of it as much as you can to try and make sure it goes in a way that doesn't.
So
is wrong.
he's helping. So he's helping these people with their real life problems, or like kind of get ready for this situation by like
Yeah.
with providing the resources to make it happen.
Yeah,
Wow,
so there's
that's,
only
yeah.
I think the first season is only 6 episodes long. The
Yeah.
second I've seen the first 2 episodes. The second episode is like the first half of 2 episodes. So I have no idea how this season is going to go, considering it's already got to a 2-parter after the first episode.
Gotcha.
So it's so part of that first episode as well is like building a replica bar of the bar he's going to, and it's like perfect, and there's actors in it playing the people in it. Like it's like
That's crazy, man. That is so crazy.
So it's basically his like whole like it's the premise, but with enough money to really do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can spend as much as you want to make sure you can rehearse it exactly as you need it to be rehearsed.
Gotcha.
As it's amazing. I love it. It's
I'm gonna watch some Nathan for you just to like get up to speed, and I think this is gonna be like a really fun thing. But yeah, I mean, I think P-Cross has been on your playlists since
it's
last
the only
week,
thing
which
I've
is
been
good.
playing since last week. So it's there's no news there. I'm still really
Still
liking
fun.
this 3DS game, and yeah.
Yeah.
But what about you? What are you up to?
Well, I guess for me, what was it? My wife and I tried to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. We've got through like about halfway through it. Like it's not that it's a bad movie. I think it's kind of clever in a few ways, but it's just a bit like it's like a 2.5 hour movie or something. And it's like like the premise is that like there are multiple universes, and there are and we exist in multiple universes, and basically the decisions we make in our life, every time we make a choice, it splits off and creates another universe. And so there are those who can tap into these other universes, versions of themselves in these other universes, and then take on that person's skill sets and mannerisms and things like that, and bring it into their current self. Rubino Lover, please feel free to let us know what you've been watching, if there's anything that you wanna talk tell us about. Yeah, so like it stars Michelle Yeoh, who's playing a like someone who's like not even first generation. Like she immigrated to America with her husband, started a life here. It's been a very difficult life, trying to like put a kid through school, trying to run multiple businesses and things like that, and all the kind of the challenges that comes from being an immigrant in America. And then as part of this, like, turns out that in alternate universes, like her husband, like she's a brilliant scientist who's created something that taps into other universes, and obviously somehow like the Loki style thing, there's like a deviant version of someone like who's like trying to destroy all the other universes and stuff like that. And so like her husband in the other universe is like a really like sort of like a secret agent, like really adept at all the skills that her her current husband isn't. So it's kind of like weird. Everyone's like, she's just kind of like bouncing from reality to reality, but still trying to make it through this reality that she's in. So it's a cool idea. There's some kind of clever things, but like we've got kind of halfway through it, and like it's a very dense movie. So it's like the annoying thing is you can't stream it anywhere. We rented it, so if I want to finish it, I have to rent it again.
Right.
Which is the way things used to be back in the day. So I'll I don't know. I'll see what I do if I end up finishing it, but I think I will. It's just maybe it was just like a bit too much for the mood we were in. Sometimes you just don't want something that's a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Speaking
yeah.
of
Yeah.
Resident Evil TV show.
Yeah, so we'll watch like we've watched the kind of like the first three. Like I think we're into the third episode. I don't know why everyone hates it. Like so many people are trashing it, but I don't understand why. Like
Okay.
it's like I kind of like the CG and stuff, and like it's cool how it kind of taps into the because I haven't played a Resident Evil game. I've seen them being played. Okay, I started
Wait.
playing Resident Evil 7. Okay, I started playing it a couple of weeks ago. All right.
It's so disconnected from the mythos as well. Like that
Yeah.
part that you played, it's like if you could play anything in the Resident Evil game, that you get so little out of that one. You know,
Exactly.
learning anything.
Yeah. So like but because I'm a sucker, I go on YouTube and look at all the kind of lore videos of any universe that I'm like tangentially like interested in, and so I know all the stuff about Resident Evil, but then I haven't played them. I've seen Resident Evil 4 being played, and I've played the first kind of like bit of like Resident Evil 7, which as you mentioned is quite like there's no mention of anything, like there's not even I haven't even been up to a part where there's any mention of the rest of the Resident Evil universe or anything like that, right? But great thing is like I think it's like set in two timelines. One set in the present day. Oh, sorry, one set in like I think it's like 20 years in the future or something, and then one set like in 2022, and like one set at the beginning of the outbreak. Where the experimentation is, and then like in the future when you're trying to survive and make it through. So basically, there were two sisters with different mothers born who had the same father, which is Albert Wesker. It's a name that sounds familiar to everyone. However, in this, instead of being a Caucasian blonde-haired super soldier with leather clothes, because that's just what they do, he is still a brilliant scientist, but he's black, and that's been such a
and
huge.
he's still perfect because of that actor.
Yeah, because he's played by Lance Reddick, who plays Commander Zavala in the Destiny games. I don't know who he plays in Horizon, but I know he's one of like the chiefs or something in that. He also plays the concierge in the John Wick films. So for me, I'll just watch anything that's got him in it, and he's like he plays the role of the scientist who's warning the corporation against this experiment. Obviously, things go wrong, and then So I'm still like a few episodes in, but I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, knowing what we know now about people complaining about things being woke, like.
Why does that happen?
You know how people complain about
the race part, or
oh, I haven't even got to that part yet. Is that a part in there? I don't even know that part.
No, I mean, are people saying it's woke because it's got black people? As
yes,
the
people are hating the fact that Wesker's black, and and all the connotations, all the associations there. It's like people are like look what they did with Ghostbusters and all this stuff. Like, why is there a black stormtrooper? Like what happened with Obi-Wan, right? With Moses Ingram, her character, like, being. It's just like people are just going to be people, and they'll just find flaws in anything. Like, if there's a flaw here, it wouldn't be the fact that he's a black character. The flaw would be that maybe the CGI isn't good, or maybe the writing's not good, or something like that. You know what I mean? There's always another reason for something being bad other than the race or the recasting of something, but people always would like to point to it because fans sometimes get like a weird attachment to media, to like properties, and they feel like they've got ownership over it, which I don't get it. It's just a movie, or it's just a show, it's just a game, like
Sure.
just yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I guess like I'll find out a bit more. Like maybe I'll have more to say next week. I'll be interested because you've seen the Resident Evil. Was it Escape from Raccoon City? Right, that was the movie the live action movie that most people, like everyone except you, trashed.
I didn't mind it either. I thought the ending was pretty, like, probably not good much at all.
Yeah,
but I really enjoyed a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I never actually looked at reviews up for anything. So I'm not sure what people criticize about it. That doesn't help.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I actually didn't mind Infinite Darkness, the kind of the CGI Resident Evil show on Netflix. That seemed alright. I mean, and
Did you watch
then
that
I watched. I think I'm like halfway through it or something. It's just
one?
yeah.
I've
I
got
I
a
don't
pattern.
finish shows. I think that's the problem now, unless it's like
Yeah.
Stranger Things or something really compelling. But like it looks like there's a decent budget in it and stuff. And yeah, I'll be interested in hearing what you think about it as well. Like if you watch it, like what you think, especially because you
Mm.
watched the live action, like the most recent kind of live action reboot. I wonder what you think here as well.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like, does my quality test like really
Does it
hold up?
pass the John test? Yes.
Yeah.
Like literally on screen right now, there's like all these kind of things on the side, but there's like another woke shit show is literally the thumbnail in like one of the videos on it. Because like people talk about the Netflix checklist. There has to be high school bullying. There has to be a queer character. There has to be like a minority character within the first 10 minutes and things like that. People like have that as like a tentpole Netflix show needs to have those things. So
Yeah.
you're never going to make people happy. So I just say fuck them.
I feel
Don't
like,
worry about it.
yeah, I agree with all that. But it's like, I feel like with Wesker, it's like he's someone who, if you try to get him exactly right, or right according to the games and stuff, he's gonna be boring. Because
Yeah.
like he's not like his character works because the voice acting and the animation and just how batshit the universe is.
Yes, because
I really do
Resident
that in a
Evil is a
grounded way.
campy mess. It's like it's like a soap opera with zombies. That's how I always think about it. Like,
Yeah, it's great,
yeah,
and it's just
yeah.
like if you're trying to, this show was obviously doing another thing, but if you
Yeah.
wanted to make Wesker, I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't
Yeah.
say, but it's like to me, it makes sense to get someone like Reddick who has like such an extremely powerful voice and just
Yeah.
performance in general. It's like
yeah.
oh, go on,
He
sorry.
plays the Wesker like you think. Like so far, he's like he's a brilliant scientist, who's potentially injected himself with this virus or whatever, and he's very suave. He's very charming, but he's also got like a very very powerful, very kind of like compelling voice. And there's like
Like
you get
charismatic.
and he seems perfect. Like he's tall, he's like fit, he's brilliant, he's wealthy, and all this stuff. But he does a good job of kind of like hinting that there's something not right, and I think that's what you want from a role like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's I'll let you know what I think. The one thing that really rubs me the wrong way is that the young he has like 2 daughters, and one of his daughters is like black, like maybe African American, I don't know. Apparently one daughter's kind of like, she looks Filipino, so apparently they're both his child but different mothers. So who knows what weird genetics went there, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's going to be some twist where there's some weird kind of experiments done there. But the black daughter, she's darker as her young self than as her adult self, and that just trips me out. Like,
yeah, that's funny.
Like who knows? Maybe like being a person of color, and then within my own kind of culture, there's a lot of colorism there, of like different shades of color. Like maybe this just triggers me, but it's just something that just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, that's the Resident Evil live action TV show on Netflix. So yeah. It's you can see the budget behind it. Actually, like, it looks good so far. But who knows? Maybe I'm woke, and so I'm not success. I'm not.
I mean, you are.
I mean, yeah. So how dare I? I would love to talk about the Star Wars Andor trailer.
Yeah.
But
what do you think of it? Oh, do we not have time?
No, I'm just saying, like, we have gone for a long time, but it seems all right. He's kind of a forgettable character, so I don't know why you focus on him. I'm guessing that people must have really resonated with him. Like, I loved Rogue One, but if you think too hard about Rogue One, it doesn't stand up. But I remember when watching it, I loved it. Like, the way it was set. I love the Darth Vader scene, how they kind of tied into the beginning of episode 4. Like, I really liked all that stuff, but he wasn't the memorable part of it. He was kind of a douche throughout it.
Well, I'm kind of amazed this show exists. Not just because of that, but also just that taking that kind of character and building like to know a 12 episode season, like prestige television season. Like this is like probably the most expensive thing outside of like cast prices, I guess.
Yeah.
Like probably the most expensive thing on Disney Plus as like a Disney Plus specific show. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it really isn't. But it's more expensive than the other Star Wars and Disney stuff. So far, like they're obviously pumping money into it.
Yeah.
It really looks expensive.
Do you know how we know that?
Like, huh?
Because there's no scenes on Tatooine. That's how we know that they spent more money.
Yeah. I need to get used. We can't use this.
But the visual effects and everything look amazing, man. And the sets, like, and they've got like, you know, Stellan Skarsgård and like a few other, like, Forrest Whitaker's characters back. Sog, save the rebellion, save the dream. I still remember that. Like, he was the most underused, like, actor. Like, he was there for like 5 minutes, and he's meant to be kind of like the leader of the rebellion at that stage.
He shows up in that Star Wars.
Yeah,
like,
he was in Jedi Fallen Order, and then he's here
had more
now.
of a role there.
Yeah,
he wasn't in it a ton, but still.
Yeah,
but it's
But yeah, like it looks cool, and it, like, you know, kind of talking about the, like, the rebellion is hinted at in Obi-Wan Kenobi because it's still very early, but this is like directly talking about the creation of the Rebel Force.
Yeah, it's like oh yeah,
the Rebel
just to follow up
Alliance.
what I was saying, it's like it's creating a show around Andor, this, you know, this dude who's not like, you know, like a main supporting character in Rogue One, and building like this big kind of politics heavy thriller instead of just like more kind of mainstream Star Wars style stuff like Obi-Wan was. It's like, it's such a big move that's so like I don't know, like, who convinced this Disney to spend money on it, because it's such a, like, it's so out of step with everything else they make. And like, I'm sure it's not going to be like incredibly like ambitious in the way that it's like kind of, you know, bold in that sense, but it's like, it seems it's very weird for like considering everything else.
And like, why not like, why not focus on, like, I don't know, maybe like Kyle Katarn or something, you know, like, he's like one of those characters that was like from the kind of Star Wars legends and then became canon, right? So why not, you know, why not a character like that actually, like, apparently Kyle Katarn from the games and like the depictions, like, he's very kind of like, he's like, he's still like a rogue and charismatic, but he's also a very capable fighter and like a leader, you know what I mean? Whereas this guy is just like, his whole thing is that he's got a Mexican accent, and
that's not his whole thing.
That's his. What other character trait did he have in Rogue One?
I think the point of the show is to, because apparently there's meant to be 2 seasons, and that will lead into Rogue One. Like, that is like what's happening.
Oh, okay.
And like the whole, like, I think the arc of this show is him becoming this sort of sacrificial rebel leader,
the martyr.
And like, you know, and actually doing it in a more dramatic sense rather than just kind of having the kind of stock standard hero's journey. Which because I will say, I like that they're making this show. I like that it's about Andor, someone who I otherwise did not care about all much. I love that exists. Like, I'd rather that. I wish spin-offs happened to more like side characters like that all the time. It's way more interesting to me personally.
Yeah, for sure. Because let's be honest, Luke Skywalker sucks, and we've covered that before. He's just kind of lame in the shows. And like,
wait, Luke? You mean Obi-Wan or Luke?
Both, man.
Oh, okay.
Like, he sets up this Jedi school and then flunks the only student he has because of some like
yeah, I didn't like that part either.
Yeah,
but it's like
anyway.
It's because I'll also say I wasn't taken with Rogue One all that much. A lot of people like it way more than I do. I only watched it the one time when it came out, so it's been a long time. But it's I didn't love it. I think I didn't love its more cynical. I'm not even sure if I had a cynical tone. I just didn't like the darker tone all that much. I didn't work for me personally, even though I usually take to that kind of stuff.
And like, there were scenes in the trailer that weren't in the final movie, like the whole kind of like Jyn Erso delivering kind of the speech, that the pep talk, you know, kind of like showing her development into a rebel. Like, whereas like in the movie, it just becomes like, I have daddy issues, and now I'm going to kill the Empire. Like, it just, like, that character arc didn't happen. like that it wasn't shown, and it was like kind of hinted at in the trailer, but then like left on the cutting room floor. So who knows?
Yeah, because there was like a lot of editing that went into this, and from what I remember, oh no, not into this, sorry, into Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's like I actually forgot about that.
And I think it was directed. Was it
I-
directed by Gareth Edwards, the Godzilla director? I think it was.
Was it? I don't
Maybe
know.
I'll find out.
But it's Rogue One is directed by you're
Yeah,
right,
Gareth Edwards. Yeah, because I remember Gary Whitta, who used to be a games journalist turned screenwriter, wrote the story for this. Part of it. Yeah, he was one of the screenwriters on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like what was I saying? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so my memory of Rogue One is not especially liking it. I didn't hate it or anything. It just wasn't my favorite. And I don't know, Andor is like so much more interesting to me because it's like a big show that seems to have like a more like I was like kind of watching the trailer. It's like, oh whoa, there's like multiple story threads that feel unique and not silly. You know, like it suddenly felt like novels to me for some reason, even though that should be how a novel like a trailer is, where it like feels like it's giving you a taste of a lot of stuff that you can't. You know, it's like I'm not even sure if there was a difference with the other trailers. I think with like Obi-Wan, it's like a lot of the shows you can kind of, they're so short and they're so straightforward that you kind of get a strong sense of it without even seeing a trailer even.
Yeah.
But when you see a trailer, it's like, okay, I know the story now.
Yeah.
Which is fine because that's what they are. But it's like Andor, it's like, it felt like, it's like, oh, I forgot this feeling from one of these projects where it feel like, you know, there's just, I'm watching something with basically no knowledge of what's going to happen outside of,
which I think is cool. I think that's cool. Yeah, because like you know and there seems like a lot more varied kind of landscapes and stuff, and it's cool seeing the rebellion being created, and so it's definitely cool, and I love you know what, I may not remember him or care about him, but who knows, maybe this will make me, because we learn more about him. So
I think that's like hopefully that's like it has to be like the end goal almost.
Yeah. And then there's like Hispanic characters, and there's Indian. We've already had like kind of African American characters. Now we've got an Indian character in here, who's like a side character. But hey, there's someone in there.
Yeah.
That's
something.
Yeah.
We'll see. So is that what we got to say about Andor?
Pretty much, man. I'm excited, but it's going to be interesting because like I think Disney just announced that it's moving She-Hulk to Fridays instead of the Wednesday release, which I think is probably because there's just too many things happening, too many shows. Yeah, but
I think I'm not sure if it was actually true, but I think the Ms. Marvel kind of, I think like playing side by side with Obi-Wan for a few weeks.
Oh yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I guess they don't want to do that so much.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because it's kind of hard to, not hard. Like you can keep up with two shows, but I imagine they want a direct conversation towards something in particular, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or just let it breathe. Do one show and then do a Marvel and then a Star Wars and then something else maybe. Anyway. Well, that's kind of what they had for a while there, but yeah. I think that also happened with like Hawkeye. I think the end of Hawkeye and the start of Obi-Wan kind of overlapped as well, I think there was something like that, yeah. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just completely crazy. Which very, very possible.
I think you might be thinking of Boba Fett.
Oh, Boba Fett. Yeah, that's right. Because Obi-Wan was this year. That was like May. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for another episode of Double Jump Radio. As always, you can support Double Jump by becoming a patron or becoming a member at doublejump.co/memberships. Please head over to doublejump.co and find links to all of our social media pages as well as our official Discord. We are working on a new Discord, but we'll have more details to share in the, I guess, coming weeks, months. Who knows? We're still trying to make sure that it's going to be the best Discord we can make for the community. But John, it's once again, it's been an absolute pleasure. So hopefully I'll have more to say about Resident Evil next week, and hopefully I'll get to finish off Ace Combat because I haven't played that in a little while.
finish off.
Yeah.
I thought you barely started it.
No, now I'm a few more missions in, but yeah, who knows? Flying fast and loose. It's fun, but I just want to finish it now. I've got to that stage. Yeah. But yeah, as always, everyone, thanks so much. We'll see you guys next week, and look out for one another. Peace. I'm so glad that you did it.